Hello grade 10s. I hope you guys are missing me as much as I'm missing you. Okay, so we started with the credit purchases and allowance. So we did if we sell goods on credit, and now we're going to do if we purchase goods on credit or anything on credit. Okay, so I hope you guys have listened to the audios on the PowerPoints so that it can be explained, and then this is just going to be an example of how to post the different journals and the ledgers and making up a creditors list. Okay, so the example guys can find on page 128. Okay, so we're working with Sonia's Cafe. So Sonia's Cafe buys on credit. Okay, and these are our transactions. So like I said in the previous example, use highlighters because now we're working with our creditors. Okay, let's quickly note with your creditors. Okay, when our creditors come in, we now have an account called creditors control. So basically keeping track of all the amount that we owe to our creditors. So it's taking control of our creditors. Okay, creditors control is a liability, okay, which means what? That it decreases on the debit side and increases on the credit side, okay? Now, if we take the first transaction, so on the 9th, bought trading stock on credit, so that's an indication that we bought it on credit, so not for cash, from Spark and Co. Okay, so that's our first creditor that we're dealing with. For 450 Rand less 5 Rand trade discount. So we would have paid 450 Rand, but now they gave us 50 Rand trade discount. Okay, this isn't the same as giving an allowance for when we pay back our accounts. Okay, we're doing that at a later stage. So like I said in the PowerPoint, there's a difference between trade discount and discount allowed. Okay, so discount allowed comes in when we're paying back our account. Trade discount is just that normal discount that you get if you go to Woolies and there's 20% discount or whatever. So 450 Rand less 50 Rand. So how much are we paying? In the end, we're only paying 400. Now, because we're buying trading stock on credit, this is going to go into our creditors journal. If it says that we're paying it by cash, it would go into your CPJ. Okay, like a normal payment. Okay, so this goes into our CJ. On the 15th, we bought the following from Mako Suppliers. So there's our second creditor. Now we bought two things in the same invoice. Okay, so this means that we've paid them a whole lump sum of money, and then 1,200 of it was for equipment and 800 of it was for stationery. Okay, then we've got, we said this is going to go into our CJ because it's on credit. Now these kind of transactions can be found, what this example has done is taken like 3 transactions that can be found in a mixture of many. Okay, so then there's some that will go to your CPJ, some will go to your CRJ, DJ, all those things, and then we're just dealing with the ones that go into our CJ for now so that you guys can see the different ways that they can ask it. Okay, then the 24th, repairs were done on credit by Alco Services. So that's our third creditor, so the third person that we owe money to. 490 Rand invoice V12. So this also goes into our CJ because we're making payments, credit payments, okay? We're buying things on credit. Okay, so now's a nice time to notice what is happening in each of these transactions. Okay, so when we buy on credit and we're buying trading stock on credit, okay, what is happening with our debit and credit? All right, so we're debiting trading stock because it's increasing because we're buying trading stock. And when you used to purchase trading stock on cash, then we would have credited bank. But this time, because we're doing it on credit, okay, we're not paying that money yet. So our credit account will be creditors control. Okay, the same as here, our debit for this one, we're buying equipment, so it will be debit equipment, and creditors control. Okay, try do the other two. You can pause the video or you can just do it with me. So what are we debiting? We're doing debit, stationery, and crediting, creditors control. Okay, with this one, repairs were done on credit. So our debit account was repairs and our credit account was creditors control. Okay, this might help you to understand when we do the transactions in the general ledger. Now this makes sense if we credit creditors control, because creditors control increases on the credit side, which means that the money that we owe is increasing. Okay, now this is how your creditors journal looks like. It's very similar to your CPJ and your CRJ. The only thing that's different is creditors control instead of bank. Okay, because it's creditors control is our contra account for everything that we purchased on credit. So if it was on cash, then it would be CPJ. If it was on credit, then it would be in your CJ. Okay, so how we would do these transactions is we'd go for the first one. So we say it's going to go into our CJ and it's going to be on the, what's the document? Okay, so the first thing you'll notice is these invoices have different invoice numbers. Now this is okay, so this is the only journal where your source documents won't go in order. The reason why is because we're getting these invoices from creditors, so they work on a different invoice system to the other creditors. So this one uses X in front of their numbers, this one uses B in front of their numbers, so that's why we've got different invoice numbers. Okay, so our document is X4. It was on the 9th. Our creditor was Spark and Co. Okay, usually your creditors journal will have more space for you guys. Okay, so what are we paying on credit? How much? We said 400 because remember there was a 50 Rand trade discount. Now we don't have to include this discount because we're not paying for the discount. So our creditors will account for it like we did with our debtors, but we don't take the discount into account. It's not 50, it's 400. Okay, 400, and we bought trading stock. So in my trading stock column, it's going to be 400 like you usually do with CPJ. It's just that the creditors control is in place of bank. Okay, then the 15th, we had an invoice B2. The day was the 15th, and it was for Mako suppliers. Like I said, there'll be more space for you guys. So creditors control, so what are we paying in total? So these two are both on the same invoice, so we have to add them because that's what we're paying in total for this invoice. Okay, so it's 1,200 plus 800, which gives me 2,000. Now I bought equipment and I bought stationery. So how much equipment did I buy? I bought 1,200 Rands worth. So in equipment, I'm going to go 1,200 Rand. In stationery, I'm going to put 800. Now I can see that these two add up to what's going into creditors control. Okay. Then on the 24th, my invoice was V12. On the 24th, this was for Alco services, so you write out the whole thing. Okay. Then creditors control, so how much am I paying? It was 190 Rand, and this goes repairs. Now repairs doesn't have its own column, so we're going to put it here in sundry accounts, like you would have done with your CPJ. Okay. And then we just total all the columns, so 400 plus 2,000 plus 190. So that gives me 2,590. So this amount gives me an idea of how much in total I paid on credit. So how how much in total I purchased on credit. Then trading stock is 400. So I can see the total of trading stock I bought on credit. Equipment, 1,200. Stationery, 800. And repairs, so sundry accounts is 190. Now it's important to note that this is just 3 transactions, but you guys might have more in your exercises. I'm just doing 3 different ways of how they would ask this. Okay, then if we look at our general ledger, now to save time, I've put in the normal transactions that you guys would have put in. So we would have had our balance brought down, so it's important to note your equipment is an asset. So we had our balance from the previous month here. We've got our cash payments for equipment, so that came from bank in our CPJ. So in between all these transactions, you would have had cash transactions to pay for equipment like you guys are used to. So we would have had an amount there. And then for our creditors control, so now that we've done our cash payments, we need to do our credit payments. So on the 31st, because equipment has its own column, what's my contra account? Now, if you're not sure, go to our transaction. So we said we debited equipment, credited creditors control. So our contra account is creditors control. Okay? So take note that if you pay by cash, it goes, your contra account is bank. If you're paying by credit, then your contra account is creditors control. And where's this found? In the CJ, because that's where all my credit transactions come from. So I check what's the total of my equipment column. So that's 1,200. And then you would have totaled both sides and balance for the next month. Okay, so that's the only new entry that you guys would have made for your credit payments. Okay, then we look at trading stock. So like I said, you would have had all these normal entries. So you would have had the balance brought down from the previous month. You would have had all your credit sales. So remember, your credit sales go into your DJ. So you would have had your credit sales put in here. You would have had your cash sales put in here. So I can see this because it's a CRJ. So I know that this is trading stock that was sold by cash. This is trading stock sold on credit. This DAJ is trading stock that was returned. So these are all the normal transactions that you guys would have entered like the previous exercise. The only thing that's different is obviously I have got trading stock that are bought on credit now. Okay, and I can find this in my creditors journal. So let's do that. Okay, so see here I've got a trading stock column because this is the trading stock I bought on credit. So you would just say 31st because it's got its own column. It would be creditors control. Okay, because I bought it. And this would be CJ. And my amount would be the total amount of my trading stock. So that's the only new transaction entry that you guys need to know. Okay, because if you check here, we said we're going to debit trading stock and creditors control. So trading stock on the debit side, I'm going to use my contra account, creditors control, and it was 400 Rand in total. Okay, then we come to our creditors control account. So this is a new account. Okay, and with our creditors control, we said that it's a liability and it decreases on the debit side and increases on the credit side. Okay, so because it increases on the credit side, this is where we're going to put our balance from the previous month, because this is the amount that we still owe our creditors. Okay, then we're going to for all of these, we've credited creditors control. Okay, so on the credit side, because all these transactions, so all these payments that were made, increase the amount of money that we owe our creditors. So it's going to go on the credit side. So it'll be the 31st because it's got its own column. And my contra account. So remember with your CPJ, we had total payments or sundry accounts. So that's the same as here. So it will be total payments, because this is the total payments of everything on credit. So I'm going to put a star here because the other contra account you can use is sundry account. So either one will be fine. Okay. And then my total payments came from my CJ because these are the total payments I made with my creditors control, and this is 2,590. Okay. Then repairs. Okay, this is now my nominal account section. So repairs is in my nominal account section because it's an expense. Okay, it increases on the debit, decreases on the credit. So on the debit side, because my expense is increasing, okay, because I owe more money to my expense, does it have its own column? No. Remember, we put it in sundry accounts. So what day was this? On the 24th. So 24th, creditors control. Okay, from my CJ, how much did I pay? It was 190. Okay, then the only stationery is also an expense. So increases on the debit, decreases on the credit. So with stationery, it has its own column. So I go 31st, creditors control. Found in the CJ, and that I paid 800 in total. Okay, so that covers your general ledger accounts. Okay, then we've got our creditors ledger. So this works the same as your debtors ledger. So each creditor has its own ledger so that we can keep track of what we owe each creditor. Okay, and we'll also get one of these from our creditor to make sure that it balances up. So if this is different to what they have, then obviously something went wrong between our books or their books. Okay, so like I said, with the first one, it says balance brought down X amount. So this is the amount that we still owed them from last month. Okay, so it's the same as your debtors ledger. Then what happened with Sparky and Co? So their first transaction, or the first transaction we made to them, was on the 9th. So we put the 9th. Now the details, it was invoice number X4. So we go invoice number X4. So not much different to the debtors ledger, but now with liabilities, it decreases on the debit and increases on the credit. So now because we're buying from them, we're increasing the amount that we owe to them. So 400, we bought for 400, and we're increasing the amount so it goes on the credit side, and you can see this in your general ledger as well. Okay, so we increase the amount by 400, and then whatever this amount was, we add 400 to get this balance. So we'll just say XXX plus 400, whatever it was. Okay, then we do the same for Mako suppliers. So our transaction was on the 15th. Both of these were on the same invoice, so we say invoice number B2, and we paid altogether 2,000 Rand. Okay, so we say XXX plus 2,000 Rand, and we get our amount there. Okay, then Alco Services, what happened with Alco Services was on the 24th. So 24th, okay, it was invoice number V12, and it was for 190. Okay, and we say whatever this balance was plus 190, and we get our new amount here. Okay, then just with your debtors list, we have a creditors list. So this, we have a list of all our creditors that we owe and the amount we owe them, and then at the end of the month, we've got how much we owe altogether. Okay, so we have Sparky and Co. And we would have gone and looked how much do we owe Sparky and Co, and we put it there. Okay, then Mako supplies, and we would have gone and looked how much does Mako supplies do we owe them, that amount, so then we put it there. Then Alco Services, Okay, we would have gone and looked how much does Alco Services owe us. How much do we owe Alco Services, and we would have put it there, and then we would have totaled this. So now if you guys want to check your work, if you take this amount, right, this is the amount that we owe in total to our creditors. So it's all the payments that we made, it's all the allowances that we received. Okay, so this amount should be the same as your creditors control balance. Okay, just so if you guys want to check. Okay, then I've stated in the PowerPoint what exercise I want you guys to do to practice. Please print this out and go through the video so that you guys can keep up to date and make little notes of things that I said. And yeah, let me know how you guys are doing.